Welcome to Ike's Vintage Tech. Today I've got the Gateway 386SX-16. It's a 386 PC from 1989 that Gateway sold. It is in a little rough shape. I'm going to have to take it apart and see how much I got to fix. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. If you like seeing me take a crack at these old machines that are as good as dead and seeing if I can bring them back to life, please consider subscribing. Last month when I was traveling for work, I always check Facebook Marketplace to just see what's out there. And I found a guy up in Rhode Island that has quite a bit of vintage gear and at a very reasonable price. I was able to pick this up. It does have some battery damage, unfortunately, that I'm going to have to fix. Let's pull that off. I already went ahead and removed the 6 screws in the rear, but there's quite a few more things I got to get out of the inside before we can take a crack at this. Looking at the inside here, I've already taken a peek. The keyboard connector on the back already had some corrosion, so I knew I was in for a rough time. This is not going to be an easy fix. There are plenty of traces that are just gone. I'm going to put a picture of the damage on the screen right now just so you can see what I'm looking at here. First thing I'm going to want to do is remove all the ISA cards that are in here. They are mostly of no use. I don't have a token ring network at home here. So I am going to have to get different ISA cards for this thing. Not a huge deal. I could use like a token ring adapter to RJ45. Those aren't too hard to find. I might just go ahead and actually get a regular RJ45 ISA card. They're also not very expensive either, and they're pretty easy to find. This particular computer had 2 network cards in it. This giant one here that reaches all the way to the back. It's actually curved a little bit because I guess the flex on the case over the years did that. Who knows if it works. Looks pretty interesting though. It's a DCA network card. I'd have to do a little bit of research into that to see, what it does. Why they had 2 of them. Maybe this one's a little faster than this one, or vice versa. Maybe this one's faster with less components because it's newer. I don't know. Luckily for me, this does have a VGA card in it, so I'm not going to need a special monitor that does CGA. I don't have a whole ton of CRTs, and I don't need a CRT for every single mode of video that is out there. That would take up a lot of space I don't have already. And this looks like our floppy controller, IDE controller, serial bus, all on this one card right here. And the hard drive LED indicator is on there. You want to disconnect that before just ripping it off. And carefully take off all the cables that are connected. This is in there really good. I'm going to be careful not to cut myself because these cases were from the era of razor blades. They didn't have the same safety concerns that newer cases today have. So there is a hard drive in here, luckily. I don't know how big it is yet. I haven't really looked at it too close. And as you can see, there is a floppy drive on the front of this thing and also a floppy drive. So you've got the 3.5 inch and 5 1/4. I think that's off the top of my head. Yeah, 5 1/4, 3.5 inch floppy. Then we got our power supply. Pretty straightforward. Let's just bend that out of the way for now. It looks like I'm going to have to take off. I don't know. Maybe not. I think it slides. I think the whole motherboard slides out looking at this because the only screws that are exposed are the 2/3 of it. The third that is under the tray here is actually just clips. So I believe this should be fairly easy to come out. That corrosion is not looking good. I'm going to take a clean picture of this once I have it out just so you guys can see everything I'm dealing with here. Hopefully it's not a total loss. These boards are hard to find. I've only seen like one on eBay and it's over $200. That's a lot more than I paid for this whole system. And I want to see if I can repair this because I'd much rather repair an original board than just replace it. I mean, I can replace it. That's always an option if this thing is completely toast. But I prefer to try to save it if I can. Now, this is the part I'm going to take a picture real quick of all the cables so I know exactly where they go. Everything is labeled, and there is a manual online for this, so it is not the end of the world if I didn't have a picture of those. It's just easier to reference an actual photo than it is to dig through a manual and hopefully pray that there's no typos. Okay, it looks like this thing slides out just like that. Okay, you guys are seeing the bottom before I am. Not as bad as I thought. Okay, the bottom is a little corroded, but not terribly so. This is the guy right here that did all the damage, that Varta battery. I'm going to go ahead and clip that off in a second. And the traces are gone on a lot of this. I'm going to take a really high-res photo of this thing, and I'm going to see about rerunning every single trace that has been damaged. Quick count, it looks like about 12 traces, give or take, are gone on the top here. Not the end of the world. As long as I can figure out where those traces were going, I can use either bodge wire or I can do actual trace repair to see about getting that all fixed and up and running. Now, hopefully the motherboard doesn't have other problems I don't know about, but right now, that's the obvious problem. The DIN connector for the keyboard, they still sell those today, so I'm actually able to get a brand new replacement for that. I'll desolder that and remove it and put it back together. Let me get this out of the way, and I'm going to have a clear picture here of the motherboard that you guys can see on the screen as I talk about it. Alrighty, looking at this from the top down, you definitely see the damage from the Varta battery. It just started leaking and got its mess over everything. You can also see right here under C81, I don't know if that's C82 or not, I don't see the label, but there is a capacitor that is just split wide open, so that's going to have to be replaced. I'm probably going to have to replace a few other of those old capacitors on here just to get that out of the way now. There's no harm in doing that as long as you're careful. There's also slight corrosion in that top ISA slot or bottom, depending on your orientation. There is a little bit of corrosion. Yeah, that is a slot 8 and slot 16. So slot 8 has a little bit of corrosion in it. If I had to, I could actually just remove that and solder in a whole new connector. You can still get these ISA slots, surprisingly. They are used in industrial computers to this day. Mainly because a lot of these systems that you have in factories or service centers are old. They cost millions of dollars to implement, and if it still works, why would you replace it? Doing a quick count on the traces that I can see, I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then that's the main part. That first inch, and then going a little bit in more, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looking at this section close up, I'd say there is under 20 traces that are gone. And that's not the end of the world. It'll look like a bird's nest, but when I'm done with it, if I have to run bodge wire from every component that has lost its little bit of trace there, I can do that. Let's flip it over and take a close look at what this looks like. So the underside of the board, I'm showing you the picture now. There's also several traces that are actually peeling up, it looks. And those are right on the vias. So that might be a problem. If it is, I can, like I said, I can always just run the bodge wire around the board if I have to. It'll look ugly, but if I can get the contacts to touch, that's all you need. And on the back side of the board here, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, about 16 traces on this side that are all just damaged pretty bad. What I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to take out the keyboard connector and I'm going to soak this thing in vinegar. Get the acid neutralized on the battery and go ahead and start the repair there. That'll be a separate video. So what am I going to do with this? I am going to attempt a repair. I'm going to have to go ahead and get the battery removed first of all. That's coming off real quick. I'm going to remove the DIN connector here for the keyboard and get a new one of those. And then I'm going to methodically go through every trace. I'm going to have to go ahead and get my own schematics because I couldn't find any online. If you have schematics for a friend 386SX, let me know. That would be great. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to draw this out on my own and figure out where every connector goes and run bodge wire and or do some trace repair on this. And that will be in a second video. Thank you for watching this one. This is a mess I'm going to have to take over time to repair, and I hope you guys stick through with the repair with me. It's going to be a doozy. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and leave your comments down below what you would do. Would you buy a $200 board on eBay, or would you go ahead and give it the old college try? Let me know. Thanks.